بعد بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله.
Shaker Aamer was the last remaining British resident in Guantanamo Bay, held for 14 years without trial or charge until his release in late 2015. Cleared for release for over 7 years, his ill treatment whilst imprisoned led to international campaigns of support, with the British government raising the case in the US. A name which has become synonymous with Guantanamo Bay. Here in the UK and afar, his release is still somewhat surreal.
Wallahi, even though I feel so happy, I feel so grateful, but still, it's so sad because my brother is still in Guantanamo. And you know, I might left Guantanamo, but Guantanamo didn't leave me yet. As long that place is open, I still live in Guantanamo. You know, the message I want to send to everybody all over the world, not just here, just in America, all over the world, that after all what happened to me in 14 years, I learned one thing, that the only thing that we all can fight for is, as I said, justice. And I want to send that message to everybody to know that forget all our differences, you know. Forget about the differences with the religion, with the culture, with the color. And remember that when you are in need of justice, you want everybody there to come out and fight for you, regardless to who they are, because it all counts. And as we see, you know, what happened with me is, I think it's one of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that from different parties or from different people, from different countries, they all got together to fight for me. And it made me overwhelmed that to see all these people, they can get together. So if we can get together and fight for justice for us in Guantanamo, we can do it again and again and again to really bring justice to the whole world. Because I think what happening to the world is the injustice, the oppression that happening to those people, that they fight because of that. They want somebody to fight for them. So if they don't find the people to fight with them, that's when they go and try to find, you know, other means. And I think that's one thing I think everybody have to understand. To bring the world to peace is we have to stand for justice.
It's absolutely brilliant to be here with Shaker. I last saw him in October, the last discussion with him as a detainee, so it's amazing to see him out here protesting himself as a free man. But at the same time, Shaker and everybody else here today remembers all the people that we left behind. There's no excuse for holding somebody indefinitely, no charge, no trial. And just to have that person go through that nightmare and wake up in a second prison, I think that's pretty problematic. So I hope that, you know, we're going to see immediate releases of all the cleared people, clear the people who really ought to be cleared, and for the tiny percentage of people they intend to prosecute, they need to put up or shut up and just do it in a regular federal court.
14 years on from its inception, former Guantanamo Bay prisoners have come out here to show their dismay at the detention camp and say it must be closed and the prisoners returned home. Joining the demonstration outside the US Embassy, Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell came to show his support. McDonnell also heads up the Shaker Aamer parliamentary group which fought for his release.
Today what we have here for the first time ever is a number of ex-detainees, all of whom have suffered as a result of the injustice of Guantanamo Bay. People held without trial, human rights abuses taking place, and torture, unfortunately. We know that because of independent reports that are produced at the behest of the US government. So now we're just saying to Obama, now's the time. He's got a year left in office. Now's the time to fulfill his promise.
Obama needs to follow through on the promise that he made in 2009, and then he reasserted that promise a couple of years ago, saying that he will close, he's given orders to close Guantanamo. He's not followed through on that. There have been some important releases of people that have been sent back home, for example, to Kuwait this week, as well as two who've been sent to Ghana. Shaker Aamer here is right today with us, something I never imagined just all over these 14 years, so it's something wonderful to be part of today. Nonetheless, until Guantanamo is closed, our job won't be finished.
Over the last week, more than a dozen detainees have been released, with the White House calling it a significant milestone, leaning towards the facility's closure. President Obama has hinted that Guantanamo Bay will be closed during his tenure as president, but that some of the remaining detainees may be transferred to different prisons.
One thing that we don't want to happen categorically is for the prisoners to be sent to a prison on US soil and to be re-imprisoned and then told that now your imprisonment is all of a sudden just simply because you're part of the legal system. They've been held for 14 years without charge or trial, which is a crime, and therefore they must be sent home immediately. Those who are going to be charged should have been charged a long time ago and should have been sent to the US for that to happen. Homes need to be found for those people who can't return to their homes for fear of torture. The world is a big place, and there are plenty of countries that are able to do that and have done so. Over half of the prisoners in Guantanamo have been cleared for release, and it is a shame, and it is a great crime and of injustice that they remain in Guantanamo simply because of their nationality.
Guantanamo is not about a place, it's not about a location. Guantanamo is about a great injustice happened to certain people, that injustice have to be over, that have to be lifted. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Why you want to move it from Guantanamo a location to another Guantanamo location in America? What's the benefit of doing that? While everybody knows, after 14 years, if you cannot prove that these guys done something wrong to be prosecuted, why you are putting them somewhere else in the mainland? All what they need to do is send these people free, send them home. Because I promise you, if you couldn't find any evidence after 14 years, you will never find any proof against them after 30 years. And that's why they have to close that place, but they have to move everybody back either to their country if they can, or either to country is neighbor country, the Gulf area. That's the only way you can rehabilitate these guys. They have to be closer to their family. How? How can you send somebody far away from his country and you expect him to sit different culture, different religion, different everything?
Although we've tried to move on, we've got a family, we've got married, we've got children ourselves, it's always going to stay in the back of your head that something could happen and we could get arrested.
It's a bit of a mixed feeling, to be honest with you. You know, you feel happy that I'm seeing Shaker after 12 years. I mean, I met him in Guantanamo, but at the same time, I feel sad and kind of bitter because of the other detainees who are still in prison. Simply because I've moved on with my life. You know, I got a family, I'm working, just life's gone back to normal. But for them, it's hasn't moved, and they're in Guantanamo for no reason. They've not done anything wrong, and if they had, then they should have been tried.
Barack Obama, who leaves office at the end of this year, said he would close Guantanamo nearly 10 years ago now. He has not done so. 100 people are still in Guantanamo. Other people are being sent to countries they don't want to go to.
It's coming towards the end of an evening showing solidarity with the prisoners of Guantanamo Bay. All of these people have come out here this evening on a cold night in January to show solidarity and hope for their release. This is Yasmin Khatun, USMC London, The Report.